If you have been online in the last 10 years, you'll have definitely seen those typical TikTok workouts. Flashy exercises, loads of volume, but no real results. The truth is, a lot of these workouts look good, but they're built on trends, not on science. They'll get likes, but they won't help you build muscle, lose fat, or get photo shoot lean. But luckily, that's where I come in. In this video, I'm breaking down viral TikTok workouts and showing you how, with some simple changes, these workouts could actually be worth your time. So hit the subscribe button right now, and I'll continue debunking TikTok fitness nonsense.
So one of the biggest issues we see with workout videos like this, especially the ones that typically go viral on TikTok, is a lot of false promises. The title there was exercises this individual wouldn't skip for both lean and toned legs. Firstly, the exercise in which you choose isn't ultimately going to determine whether your legs get lean and toned. That's ultimately going to be determined by body fat. And to get leaner, you must eat less, move more. It's kind of that simple. And then beyond that, what I typically see with these workouts, which is quite frustrating and disappointing, is the fact that none of them promote basic principles of hypertrophy. Ultimately, if you want to get leaner and toned legs, you're probably wanting to develop some muscle in some capacity to then give yourself bigger legs, pair that with body fat percentage decrease, thus looking leaner. These movements aren't going to do that. Sure, you're going to get some stimulus for growth, because if you're doing nothing versus this, something's better than nothing, but it's only going to take you so far. What you really need to do is a couple of things. Bin off the useless movements you're seeing. The movements that may trigger a lot of burning and a lot of sensation, but aren't necessarily doing what you're hoping they're doing. Replace them with better alternatives, heavier patterns, squat patterns, hinge patterns, whatever it may be, just heavier movements that you can progressively overload on. And the big thing is going to be just training harder. Although these movements may burn when you're doing 3 sets of 15 of a movement, assuming you're using the same weight, indicates that you're probably not training hard enough, because if you are training hard enough, you should not be able to match reps set on set on set. If I do a set of 15 to failure, my next set I might be lucky to get 14, maybe 30, then I might be lucky to get 11, maybe 12 after that. Ultimately, if you're pushing close enough to failure, you're going to accumulate fatigue, which in turn is going to mean you can't match the reps each set. And if you can, you probably need to try harder and probably need to go heavier. If you're up to me and I were to simplify this and actually choose movements that I think could be far more conducive to what you're hoping to achieve, I'd isolate it to 4 things. I'd choose a squat or leg press pattern, I'd choose a hinge pattern, I'd choose a leg extension or knee extension pattern, and I'd choose a knee flexion or leg curl pattern. That simple. You're then targeting the quads and hamstrings and glutes, kind of exactly how they need to be targeted in a simple and minimalistic approach. Do that, train hard enough, and just try and do either more reps or more weight each week when possible. You're probably going to be okay. Everything is 10 reps. It's 3 by 10, 3 by 10, 3 by 10, 3 by 10. One of the kind of telltale signs I see poorly designed workouts is just a really poorly designed set and rep scheme. Sets and reps don't need to be that complicated. Most times I'll do anywhere from like 1 to 3 sets depending on the movement. My reps will vary anywhere from, let's say, 3 all the way to 15. It really depends. But when I see somebody say for every movement do 3 to 4 sets of 10 reps, no variation, to me that just indicates it was thought of on the spot and they don't really know a lot about what they're doing. I've mentioned previously in the earlier video that if you're maintaining reps across the entirety of your sets, 4 sets of 10, 4 sets of 10 without any drop off, you're probably not training hard enough. If you're not training hard enough, you're probably not going to see the results you want to see. Albeit some of the movements actually included weren't actually that bad. We've got a leg press pattern there, which I really respect, I appreciate, that's great. But if you're going to do a leg press, at least do it properly. The range of motion there was very limited. It was almost like a kind of half rep constant tempo leg press, which again I would question why. I see when doing movements or performing exercises, you're performing a task. The task should be going through a specific range of motion. And that range of motion, in my opinion, should be the full intended range of motion. If you can't complete that, you can no longer complete the task, therefore you're done. The second thing we see there, things like a goblet squat. This is heavily utilized in a lot of these online influencer workouts. Everyone speaks very highly of the goblet squat. Oh, it's the best movement they've ever done. done, blah, blah, blah. The thing is, with the goblet squat, it's anterior loaded, which means the weight is here in front of you. When goblet squatting heavy and within close proximity of failure, you're probably not going to fail due to your legs. And the whole point of this is a leg workout. So surely you'd want the limiting factor to be the intended musculature, being the leg muscles. You're probably going to fail a goblet squat because of your core, or maybe even your shoulders, maybe even the arms, from holding the weight in a certain position. And again, if you're taking the movement to failure and that failure is occurring because your shoulders have given out but your legs still have loads in the tank, are you getting sufficient leg stimulus for what you're trying to achieve? No. You're probably getting more shoulder stimulus, which thus defeats the point of being a goblet squat. What I would do to replace that instead is swap it with something that isn't anterior loaded. A barbell back squat, a hack squat, a pendulum squat, a Smith machine squat, or even a leg press variation. We'll avoid the leg press because we are including that later, but there are so many easier or better options that will remove limiting factors and keep your emphasis exactly where you want that emphasis to be. The next movement we see is a dumbbell deadlift. When looking at leg development, doing a conventional deadlift or a sumo deadlift or any kind of full range of motion deadlift that isn't hip dominant, to me is a bit pointless. I don't think they work the intended musculature very well. I think there are much better alternatives. But if you are going to include a deadlift variation, I think there is a lot of merit in including a hinge variation of a deadlift. An SLDL, so a stiff leg deadlift, a Romanian deadlift. Either one of these is going to work the hamstrings much better, and also the glutes much better too, and that's kind of what you probably want. Moving on to leg press. The leg press is fine. I think you should keep a leg press in there. Do you need to do a squat pattern and a leg press pattern? No, you don't have to if you don't want to, but you certainly can. But ultimately, again, if you're going to do a leg press, do it properly. So depending on what you're trying to achieve, you have two kind of real options here. Well, you have a few, but we'll isolate two. You've got a quad bias leg press, in which you want a low, narrow stance, going as low as you can, bending the knees as much as possible, encouraging as much knee flexion as possible, or you have a glute bias leg press. A high narrow stance, not needing to go as low. 90 degree at the knee, trying to get as much movement from the glutes as possible, less movement from the quads, that works fine. We then finish up with a lunge. Lunges are fine. Honestly, I don't have any dramas with lunges. I think ultimately they're good. I include lunges for a lot of my clients. I personally prefer walking lunge variations, purely for preference. That's genuinely it. You can do a split squat if you would rather, or if you actually want to remove stability as a concern entirely, you can actually do a unilateral leg press, which will work the muscles in a very similar manner, but you reduce stability demand, which may make things a little bit easier for you. I'd actually keep two of those movements in, being the leg press and the lunge pattern, and replace the first two entirely. While I've got your attention and you're still here, if you've made it this far in the video, I would very much appreciate it if you did not only just like the video, but also click the subscribe button down below, because it does help the channel a lot and makes me feel like somebody in the world loves me. Although I may spend a lot of my time on the internet debunking workouts and movements that I deem to be a little bit crap and telling you what you could potentially do better, once in a blue moon, we actually come across something that's actually pretty bloody good. And this is a prime example of an influencer, or a TikTok individual we'll say, who knows what they're talking about. And I like to see that.
Take your hold, deeper go, baby go and show yourself. Nah, play your game, I'll be patiently wait until time runs out. Getting close now. All the stories that you tell are beautiful.
Won't include the whole clip because that's 53 minutes. I don't think anyone's going to sit through a video being going. Let's go through the movements there. We've got a leg curl variation, we've got a thrust pattern, we've got a hinge variation, we've got a split squat, and we have an extension. I wouldn't change anything. Like genuinely, these are all movements I would include, and based on actual just structure of workout, that's pretty bang on. If I had to change one thing, I might shift the seated leg curl to maybe a lying leg curl. So then we go from lengthened position to shortened position, because we get that lengthened range over when we're doing the RDLs later on. But that's genuinely as me just being pedantic. We've covered all the bases there, really. We've worked the hamstrings through both their functions, being a hinge and also a leg curl. We've worked the quads effectively when looking at the split squats, very good for the old quadaroonies, and also in the extension where we're getting the rect fem in there. And we've also worked the glutes in their arguably strongest range, being that shortened range, through a thrust pattern. I'm not mad at all. I think that's bloody fantastic. And if you did this workout to a good standard, being good form and good intensity, I would deem that to be a very effective workout, provided your intention or goals are hypertrophy focused. Yes, actually, that's very good actually. As with all my videos, this is simply my opinion. And I'd always encourage you to do your own research and formulate your own opinion, as critical thinking does matter. Until the next one, thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for tolerating my bush. And thank you for tolerating the video. Link down below in the description, as always, and also the conversation too, is the link to the TFNL coaching application. So if you fancy hopping on a free Zoom consultation call with me, where we can talk about life, bits and bobs, waffles and dogs or bushes, maybe, who knows, and maybe ponder coaching options in the future, click the link down below, fill in the application form, I'll drop you an email, we'll hop on a Zoom call, no pressure, let's talk things and see if we can make you big, juicy, strong. Yes.